Human ambition knows no bounds. Sometimes it leads to incredible triumphs, but other times it ends in tragedy. From daring stunts to extreme experiments, these 15 world records show just how risky it can get when pushing limits. Are you ready to discover the dark side of glory? Alex Harvill's fatal motorcycle jump 2021. Ready to make history, 28-year-old daredevil and motocross champion Alex Harvill was preparing for his big moment on June 17, 2021. He set out to break a world record by jumping a motorcycle a jaw-dropping 351 feet. This epic attempt was part of the Moses Lake Air Show in Washington, and Alex had spent months preparing for this monumental feat. Known for his daring stunts and pinpoint precision, he had already earned a reputation as one of the best in the game. But this jump would be unlike any other, an ultimate test of his skills. However, disaster struck during a practice run just before the official attempt. As Alex rocketed down the ramp, his trajectory was slightly off. Instead of landing smoothly on the downslope, his motorcycle collided with the edge of the dirt landing zone, sending him into a violent tumble. The impact was devastating. Emergency responders quickly arrived and rushed him to the hospital, but tragically, Alex did not survive. His death sent shockwaves through the stunt community and left fans around the world in disbelief. A husband and father of two, Alex had always talked about balancing his love for pushing limits with the importance of safety. His tragic end sparked a renewed conversation about the dangers of extreme sports and the critical need for better safety measures. Alex Harvill's legacy lives on, reminding us of the fine line between courage and risk, and the cost of chasing the impossible. Audrey Mestre wears free diving tragedy 2002. Renowned for her fearless dives into the ocean's depths, Audrey Mestre became a legend in the world of free diving. Married to fellow world-class diver Francisco Pipin Ferreras, she dedicated years to mastering the no-limits style of free diving. This extreme discipline pushes divers to the edge, using a weighted sled to descend and an air-filled balloon to help ascend back to the surface. In October 2002, Audrey was determined to break the world record by diving 561 feet off the coast of the Dominican Republic. The event was meticulously planned. Safety divers were stationed along the route, and every piece of equipment was set for emergencies. She descended smoothly to her record-breaking depth, but then disaster struck. As Audrey began her ascent, her lift balloon malfunctioned, failing to inflate properly. This caused a dramatic delay in her rise, and she remained underwater far longer than anticipated. By the time safety divers reached her, it was too late. Despite their best efforts to revive her, Audrey Mestre did not survive. Her tragic death sent shockwaves through the free diving community and prompted an investigation. It revealed severe lapses in safety measures, including insufficient oxygen tanks for the divers and a lack of backup systems. Her death raised uncomfortable questions about the risks of no-limits free diving and the immense pressure to push human limits in such a perilous environment. Guy Garman's deep diving attempt, 2015. When a seasoned diver like Guy Garman, aka Doc Deep, sets out to break a world record, you know it's not just another dive. In 2015, Garman aimed for the impossible, reaching 1,200 feet on a single recreational scuba dive, pushing the boundaries of human endurance and underwater exploration. For Garman, a veteran of deep dives, this was the ultimate challenge. But reaching that depth isn't just a matter of skill, it's about survival. The deeper you go, the more your body and your gear are pushed to their absolute limits. At 1,200 feet, dangers like nitrogen narcosis, oxygen toxicity, and equipment failure become very real. Garman's dive took place off the coast of St. Croix in the US Virgin Islands, with a team of divers stationed at various depths to assist with his ascent. The descent went smoothly, but tragedy struck as Garman began his return to the surface. After 38 minutes underwater, he lost contact with his support team. Despite an extensive search, Garman's body was never recovered. Experts believe that a mix of physiological stress and equipment failure may have led to his death, but the exact cause remains unknown. The diving world was shaken by the loss of one of its own, sparking debate about the ethics of pushing human limits in such extreme conditions. Critics questioned whether the risks were worth it, especially when it comes to recreational dives that go beyond what is considered safe. Garman's tragic end serves as a stark reminder. In the deep, unforgiving waters, the smallest mistake can have deadly consequences. John Cobb's water speed record attempt, 1952. British racing legend John Cobb, known for his land speed records, set his sights on an even greater challenge. In 1952, conquering the water speed record. Cobb wasn't just any racer, he was a pioneer in high-speed endeavors, always pushing the limits. To take on this new challenge, he designed the Crusader, a state-of-the-art jet-powered hydroplane built to reach speeds over 200 mph. Cobb chose Loch Ness in Scotland as the location for his record-breaking attempt, drawn to its calm waters and stunning scenery. But racing on water is no easy feat. Unlike solid land, water's unpredictable waves and the extreme pressure on vessels at high speed present unique challenges. On September 29, 1952, Cobb raced across the loch at incredible speeds, reaching an estimated 240 mph. The Crusader seemed unstoppable until disaster struck. In a split second, the hydroplane disintegrated, violently flipping and breaking apart. Cobb was killed instantly, and the crowd was left in shock. The exact cause of the crash remains a mystery. Some experts believe the vessel's structure couldn't handle the stress of those blistering speeds, while others suggest it could have been a rogue wave that caused the catastrophic failure. Either way, it was a tragic end to a man who was determined to make history, leaving behind a legacy of courage and ambition that would inspire future speed enthusiasts. Nick Piantanida's high-altitude parachute jump, 1966. Far more than a truck driver, Nick Piantanida was a visionary whose ambitions pushed the boundaries of both human endurance and technology. In the mid-1960s, he set his sights on breaking the record for the highest parachute jump, aiming to leap from the very edge of space. Determined, Piantanida made 3 daring attempts, each pushing him further into the unknown. His goal? To ascend over 120,000 feet in a helium balloon, then freefall back to Earth. On May 1, 1966, during his 3rd attempt, Piantanida reached an impressive 57,000 feet, wearing a pressurized suit designed to protect him from the near vacuum of space. But as he prepared for the jump, disaster struck. A depressurization incident in his helmet caused a rapid loss of oxygen, leading to a catastrophic brain injury. In a desperate move, ground control ordered an emergency descent, pulling the balloon gondola back to Earth in mere minutes. But the damage had already been done. Piantanida never regained consciousness and tragically passed away 4 months later. His pursuit of the record captivated the nation, but it also revealed the terrifying dangers of high-altitude jumps. Unlike modern-day attempts, Piantanida didn't have the advanced technology and safety measures that skydivers rely on today. Javad Palizbanian's motorcycle stunt, 2005. In 2005, Javad Palizbanian, an Iranian daredevil, set out to accomplish something that would place him alongside the legendary Evel Knievel. He aimed to break the world record by jumping over 22 buses on his motorcycle. It was a stunt that had everyone on the edge of their seats, drawing crowds eager to witness a jaw-dropping display of speed and bravery. The preparation was as dramatic as the stunt itself. A massive ramp was built, and Javad's motorcycle was finely tuned for peak performance. The jump would require flawless speed, precision, and balance to clear the buses and land safely. With his reputation as a seasoned stuntman, Javad was the crowd favorite. Everyone believed he had what it took. As he revved his engine and raced toward the ramp, the tension in the air was electric. He soared into the air with incredible momentum, clearing the buses with ease. But tragedy struck during the landing. His motorcycle came down at the wrong angle, flipping violently. The impact was devastating, and Javad tragically died from his injuries at the scene. His death shocked the audience and the stunt world, highlighting the extreme dangers of high-risk performances. It also sparked an urgent conversation about safety measures and the intense pressure stunt performers face when attempting to break iconic records. Javad Palizbanian's daring ambition, though heroic, proved just how fine the line is between triumph and tragedy. Sailendra Nath Roy's zipline attempt, 2013. The name Sailendra Nath. Roy evoked awe and amazement in the world of daredevil stunts. On April 28, 2013, this fearless Indian daredevil took his passion for breaking records to new heights. Or should we say, new lows? Roy decided to attempt the unimaginable, crossing a 600-ton zipline over the Teesta River in West Bengal, suspended solely by his ponytail. It wasn't just about the thrill. Roy's stunt was a testament to his extreme pain tolerance and physical endurance. Having already made his mark in the Guinness World Records with hair-raising feats, Roy was no stranger to danger. As the crowd cheered him on, he confidently made his way across the line, but things took a tragic turn halfway through. Roy's ponytail got caught in the pulley, leaving him stranded high above the river. What followed was a heart-wrenching 20-minute struggle to free himself. Despite rescue teams scrambling to help, the strain was too much for his body to handle, and he suffered a fatal heart attack before he could be saved. The devastating tragedy left the crowd in shock, raising serious concerns about stunt safety. Critics pointed out the lack of proper supervision and emergency plans. Roy's untimely death highlighted the extreme risks performers face in their quest for fame, sometimes at the cost of their lives. Franz Reichelt's parachute suit test, 1912. In 1912, a French tailor named Franz Reichelt made a daring attempt to change the course of aviation history by leaping from the Eiffel Tower in a parachute suit of his own invention. At the time, aviation was still in its infancy, and Reichelt, driven by a bold vision, believed his wearable parachute could save pilots in emergencies. On February 4, 1912, the world watched as Reichelt, wearing his heavy, bulky suit, ascended the Eiffel Tower. The device was designed to deploy wings to slow the fall, but despite warnings from friends and officials, Reichelt insisted on testing it himself. A crowd of curious onlookers and journalists gathered below, eager to see this thrilling demonstration. Reichelt jumped from the first platform of the tower, about 187 feet above the ground. But tragically, the parachute suit failed to open. He fell to his death on the frozen ground below, and the horrific moment was captured on film. His bold ambition, while tragic, marks one of the earliest fatal stunts in history and highlights the risks pioneers like Reichelt were willing to take in the pursuit of progress. Though his invention didn't succeed, his story remains a haunting reminder of the dangers and the dreams that shaped early aviation innovation. Janaka Basnayake's Buried Alive stunt, 2012. In a shocking turn of events, Janaka Basnayake, a 24-year-old from Sri Lanka, set out to break a world record that would have made him a legend. On March 5, 2012, in the small town of Canal, he attempted the dangerous feat of being buried alive for the longest time. With the help of his friends and family, Basnayake prepared for an unimaginable challenge, being sealed in a pit nearly 10 feet deep, covered with soil, wood, dirt, and leaves, with no ventilation or monitoring systems to keep him safe. As he descended into the darkness, the crowd watched in anxious anticipation, but what followed would take a tragic turn. Hours passed, and after more than 7 hours underground, his team frantically dug him out. But when they reached him, Basnayake was unresponsive. Despite desperate efforts to revive him and rush him to the hospital, he was pronounced dead shortly afterward. Medical reports later suggested suffocation or cardiac arrest, triggered by extreme stress as the likely cause. The stunt, meant to catapult him to fame, quickly turned into a cautionary tale. Basnayake's death sparked fierce debate about the ethics of such dangerous stunts for recognition. It highlighted the glaring lack of safety measures, and the tragedy raised awareness about the importance of professional oversight when attempting world records. What was supposed to be a moment of glory ended up as a grim reminder of the perils of risking it all for fame. Matthew Crunch's human cannonball accident, 2011. On April 25, 2011, Matthew Crunch, a 24-year-old stuntman, was about to pull off a death-defying act that had amazed crowds countless times before. As the human cannonball, he was set to be fired from a cannon and land safely in a net below during a live event in Kent, England. But on that day, the unthinkable happened. As the cannon launched him into the air, something went horribly wrong. The safety net, which was supposed to catch him, suddenly collapsed. Without its support, Crunch plummeted from over 40 feet. Despite the swift efforts of paramedics, he tragically succumbed to his injuries shortly after. An investigation later revealed that the net's anchoring mechanism had failed, leaving Crunch without the protection he desperately needed. The incident raised serious questions about the event's safety measures. Critics pointed out that the organizers had failed to properly inspect the equipment and lacked a backup plan for such a critical moment. Crunch's death shook the stunt community to its core, sparking urgent conversations about the dangers performers face. It underscored the importance of strict safety protocols and placed a heavy responsibility on organizers to protect the lives of those who risk everything for the thrill of the show. The tragedy became a painful reminder that in the world of stunt performances, there's no room for oversight when it comes to safety. Karel Soucek's barrel stunt, 1985. Known for pushing the limits, Karel Soucek, a Canadian daredevil, was always familiar with danger. He had already survived a heart-stopping plunge over Niagara Falls in a custom-made barrel, so when he set his sights on another stunt, it seemed like just another day at the office. In 1985, he decided to take on the Houston Astrodome, planning to drop 180 feet into a specially designed water tank below. On January 19th, thousands of spectators packed the stands, waiting to see history in the making. Soucek climbed into a cylindrical red barrel, ready to make his mark. But what was meant to be an awe-inspiring moment turned into a tragedy. As the barrel dropped, it veered off course and slammed into the rim of the tank, missing the target entirely. The impact was catastrophic. Soucek was rushed to the hospital but tragically passed away from his injuries later that day. The stunt's failure raised serious questions about safety and preparation. Critics pointed out that the water tank was too shallow and poorly designed for such a dangerous drop. Even other daredevils questioned the wisdom of attempting such a high-risk feat inside a confined space like the Astrodome. What was meant to be an iconic moment ended in heartbreak, leaving behind a legacy tainted by tragedy. Owen Quinn's World Trade Center parachute jump, 1975. On July 22, 1975, Owen Quinn made a daring, unforgettable splash in New York City by becoming the first person to parachute off the World Trade Center. A skydiving enthusiast and construction worker, Quinn was on a mission to pull off a jaw-dropping stunt while avoiding harm and legal trouble. Disguised as a worker, he sneaked a parachute to the top of the South Tower, still under construction. With precision, he positioned himself near the edge and, without hesitation, leapt into the sky. For several heart-stopping seconds, he free fell through the air before deploying his parachute. Spectators below gasped as Quinn floated down and landed gracefully on the sidewalk, unscathed and victorious. But while the jump itself was flawless, the aftermath was far less smooth. Quinn was swiftly arrested, charged with trespassing and reckless endangerment. He argued that it was simply a thrill-seeking stunt with no intent to harm, but the authorities didn't buy it. Though he avoided jail time, Quinn's leap became a symbol of the risks involved in stunts like these, especially in a bustling city. His World Trade Center parachute jump remains a legendary moment in both skydiving history and urban adventure. Jessica Dubroff's cross-country flight, 1996. In 1996, 7-year-old Jessica Dubroff became a household name, with her dream to make history as the youngest person to fly across the United States. With her father and flight instructor by her side, Jessica took the controls of a small Cessna 177B, ready to conquer the skies. But her ambitious journey would end in tragedy just 3 days later. On April 11th, shortly after taking off from Cheyenne, Wyoming, the plane was struck by severe weather. Torrential rain and powerful winds that made the flight perilous. The small aircraft struggled to climb, and just moments after takeoff, it crashed. Jessica, her father, and her instructor were all killed. The tragedy shocked the nation and ignited a fierce debate over the ethics of allowing children to pursue such risky endeavors. Critics argued that the attempt was more about the media spectacle than safety. Questioning the adults who supported Jessica's goal, aviation experts also warned about the dangers of flying in bad weather, especially when a young, inexperienced pilot is at the controls. Jessica's dream of setting a record was tragically cut short, and her story remains a somber reminder of the fine line between ambition and safety. While her enthusiasm was undeniable, the crash raised important questions about the responsibility of those who guide young dreamers toward risky paths. Thomas Fitzpatrick's drunken flight, Piantanida, 1956. In the dead of night, back in 1956, Thomas Fitzpatrick, ex-Marine, skilled pilot, and fearless risk-taker, pulled off an aviation stunt so wild it became legend. After a night of drinking at a bar in New York City, Fitzpatrick casually boasted that he could land a plane on a city street. Most people laughed it off, but Fitzpatrick wasn't joking. Fueled by alcohol and pure audacity, he borrowed a small single-engine plane from a nearby airfield without permission. With nothing but guts and instinct to guide him, Fitzpatrick flew the plane through Manhattan's cluttered skies, weaving between buildings as he made his way to Harlem. And in a move that seemed straight out of a movie, he landed the plane on St. Nicholas Avenue, right in front of the bar where the bet had been made. His landing was so flawless that witnesses could hardly believe their eyes. Though Fitzpatrick walked away unscathed, his stunt caught the attention of the law. He was arrested and charged with grand larceny and other offenses. But that wasn't the end. Just 2 years later, after another night of drinks, he pulled off the stunt again, landing on a different Manhattan street. This time, the consequences were tougher, but Fitzpatrick had cemented his status as one of the most daring daredevils in aviation history. Vesna Vulovic's survival record, 1972. At the age of 22, Vesna Vulovic became the focus of a story that would capture global attention on January 26, 1972. While working as a flight attendant for Yugoslav Airlines, she became the only survivor of a devastating aviation disaster that claimed 27 lives. The unimaginable began when a bomb exploded on board Flight 367, tearing the plane apart at 33,000 feet. What followed is a tale of survival that defied every expectation. The DC-9, en route from Copenhagen to Belgrade, was brought down by a bomb planted by a Croatian nationalist group. The blast ripped the plane apart, sending everyone aboard plummeting into the snowy forests of what is now the Czech Republic. Vesna, stationed near the tail of the plane, was trapped by a food cart wedged against the fuselage, which ultimately saved her life. Against all odds, she survived the fall. Experts believe the heavily wooded, snow-covered landscape cushioned her descent, while the structure of the fuselage shielded her from the worst of the impact. Though Vesna suffered life-threatening injuries, broken legs, a fractured skull, and temporary paralysis, she defied the odds again and made a miraculous recovery. Her survival remains the world record for the highest fall without a parachute, cementing her place in history. She became a symbol of hope, resilience, and pure luck. While celebrated as a national hero in Yugoslavia and admired worldwide, Vesna's humility stood out. Despite the fame, she often expressed guilt for being the only one to survive such a tragedy. Vesna's journey didn't stop at survival. She became a passionate advocate for peace, speaking out against terrorism and violence. Not every record is worth breaking, right? Which one did you find the wildest? Hit up the comments, share your thoughts, and subscribe button for more jaw-dropping moments.